Hey, Assalamu alaikum everybody. How's it going? Yes, I haven't posted in a while. I think almost a month or something like that. So I'm very sorry. I've been quite busy, but I have a lot to catch up on and a lot to tell you about, and I'm very excited about it all. So first things first, this happened on the 5th of November, even though today's the 6th of December, and the date I put in for this post is the 13th of November. So everything's all messed up, but just bear with me here. And before I begin, I want to say that this morning I had some soup, and it's lentil soup, and they have it for breakfast here, and you put like little pieces of bread in it. It's delicious. It was very good, and I've never had soup for breakfast before, but I just love the idea. It's like thick. It's very good. Güzel, as they say in Turkey, which means lovely or beautiful. Also, yesterday I went to one jami, which is the Muslim house of worship, with a visitor from out of town who's here from America, and we were praying the noon prayer, so that's Dhuhr prayer. And afterwards, we saw all the people gathering around. So he said, "What is this?" And it was Valide Jami, which is in Üsküdar here, which is one of the huge, big jamis. And so it was just weird. So he said, "Let's wait and check it out." So I said, "Sure, let's wait." And it turned out that one of the guys was a reciter, and so he sat there and he was reciting, and there were some really beautiful ayat or signs, different what could be comparable to verses, but it's not the same, of the Quran recited, and it was really nice, and people were around. And then right after, they all started to sing. And I'll say it's a song, it's like poetic. In Arabic, you'd say anashid, and in Turkish, I asked them, it's like ilahiyat, but it was just very Damascene, if that's the right word, like very much like Damascus, where every time you have a sort of religious lesson, the guys around, they're in a circle and they just start singing. And it was in Turkish, so I didn't understand uh, much. I mean, only the Arabic words. But it was a really interesting experience. And then they would stop, and one guy would go solo and he would sing. And the way these jamis are built makes it so that the sound echoes. I talked about this before, and so it was just a very nice thing. And so I just sat there and I was just very interested. I was like, this is a interesting cultural experience. So, anyways, getting back to what happened on the 5th of November, this was an amazing day. Same friend who took me across the Bosphorus took me again, really nice guy, to see Abu Ayyub al Ansari. That's his name in Arabic, and in Turkish it's like Ayyub I don't know how to say it, to be honest. I just know how to say it in Arabic, and he was an Arab. And he's one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And there's that famous tradition of the Prophet ﷺ that says that the best army will be the one that conquers Constantinople. And so he wanted to be from among those people. And you can read his story, but basically he died, without having succeeded, because it was Fatih Sultan Mehmet, who was the one who, the second, of course, who was the one who did that. So his grave is there, and even when Fatih Sultan Mehmet entered the city, what he did was he sent one guy, I forgot his name, to find his grave, and then they built a jami close to his grave. And so, this is supposed to be like the most spiritual place. I've heard so many things about it. It's supposed to be packed. And so I told my friend, let's go for Friday prayer there. And we were told you have to get there an hour and a half early, and even then it'll be packed, because for normal prayers, even like the afternoon prayer, also it's totally packed. You can barely get inside. So, and everyone who's been there told me they got a different feeling. So I went there and I was like, let's do it. I get on the boat, and to be honest, at that time, now it's much better. Okay, but this is a month ago. I was still like bouncing around in the waves, and I almost fell down while I was walking. And I was just like thinking of being a sailor, and again that whole idea of you're on different ground and you have to get used to it. It's just very interesting because we don't usually think about the surface on which we walk. My friend speaks quite a few languages, mashallah, and living here, he gets a lot of practice because there's always tourists everywhere. Not so much in where I live, but in other places. So he's going there. He's speaking some Spanish to people. He speaks French to other people. He's English to other people, and he's just such a helpful guy. So it was just really cool to see him, helping people out. So we get there, and there's this little market, not very big and kind of narrow, leading up to the Jami. And we're going there, and I start to hear music in the background. So I'm like, what is that? And she's like, I don't know. And I think it was the first time he saw that as well. We turn around, and you have these people dressed in traditional, like Ottoman military dress, I could say, and they have the drums and they have the flute and they have everything, and they're just walking down. And so I was like, I have to get a picture of this. So I have pictures. They're in the info part. You can see them. And what I'm gonna do is after I post this video, I'm gonna post three or four little clips. They're like 20 seconds or something like that of different songs that they were playing at the time. While they're drumming. Now I'm big on history, and so as I see these people walking down, all these images come to mind, and I'm like, it's the Ottoman army, coming through. Just like if you had seen the British army, the Redcoats, or the American revolutionary soldiers, doing, where they try to replicate what happened during the war for independence. And so just, different histories. I just think it's beautiful. And, the different music, and I'm just imagining like thousands of horsemen, and I have this image. It may not be historically accurate at all, but it's still the image that comes to mind. And so that was really interesting, but it kind of stopped getting interesting when we entered the Jami, and so we got there an hour and 15 minutes early. It wasn't packed like I was told, but so I got to sit in the second row, but still, the first row was completely full, and you had a lot of people all over. So that was surprising. That was really surprising. As I tried to focus and try to read something from the Quran, or maybe you want to pray, you don't just sit there and just like, yeah, so even think or meditate or get deep into thought, that music stayed in the background. So even though it was really cool, it was just far too close to the Jami, and it really, really messed up with my spiritual experience there. So I think I had a different experience than most people. Now this was a different crowd here at the Ayub Jami. These people, I saw a lot more turbans. So again, that whole idea of turbans and this and that, it just keeps getting more and more nuanced as I live here. So I saw so many people with turbans and long beards, something you wouldn't think of maybe when you first think of Istanbul or Turkey. So a different crowd. Now I was telling you before about the speeches, and then you have the pre-speech. Well, so this pre-speech started at like 11:40 a.m. and it lasted for 55 minutes. That is a very long speech. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't a good topic. I don't really know. I understood what he said in Arabic when he recites from the Quran or Hadith. So some of the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. But it was really long, and they did that whole thing again where the call to prayer goes off, and the speaker is still speaking. So I'm trying to repeat after the person who's saying the call to prayer, like you're supposed to do in Islam, and at least I thought maybe it's a difference of opinion here, and he's still talking, and two people are talking, and then you had music in the background before, and I don't know, it didn't, I don't know, it wasn't appealing to me. And then he had the real speech, right, and that was 6 minutes, of course, including everything. Then you have it's just very interesting. It's very different than how Islam is practiced in America normally, and so I'm happy that, oh sorry, I wrote down 4 minutes was the raw speech, the stuff he read off paper. Now I would say that the thing he read, the intro in Arabic, was beautiful. It was really, really nice, and it was very eloquent Arabic. Now I was trying to turn around and see him, even though I was in the second row. He's behind me. Again, I don't know. Didn't really. I don't know. But it was good. It was good. It was a generally good experience. I got to visit the grave and pray on him, and just recite the Fatiha and say ask for his forgiveness and stuff like that. Even though he's one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and he has a very high status. But still, it's like he came here. And then we went out and we had some dondurma. Let's see, it's called Kahramanmaraş Dondurması. So this is the ice cream. Now, dondurma, and I'm saying it totally incorrectly, I know, means ice cream in Turkish. And so I had their Turkish ice cream, which is very stretchy. It's delicious. I love it. It's very good. And it was £5, which I thought was pretty cheap, and I wrote down pretty cheap here, but you'll see later on, this is actually pretty expensive if you compare it to Turkey and Turkish standards. It was just a very high tourist place, basically. So he tells me that sahlab, which is sahlab in Arabic. It's what I had in Siwa. We were sitting down chilling in the desert. It was beautiful at this one restaurant, and we're on the floor there, and they would give us this very hot drink. I have no clue what's inside it, some sort of milky stuff, but it's very good, and you put cinnamon on top, and it's very hot. And even though you're in the desert, it's just very good. And so he said that they cool that down and freeze it. Other people told me he was a liar. I don't even know. But he gave me some for free, which I thought was very nice. Now, this whole thing with the tricks that they do with the Turkish ice cream, it's pretty lame if you ask me about it. He just did a little bit, but he seemed kind of tired. He was like, I'm not very interested in helping you out there, buddy. So I found out that there are other companions here as well, which was very surprising. So some names I wrote down. I wrote 6 in total. I thought there were 8. I don't know. You'll see. From the pictures, I took pictures of all the signs. People like Ka'b ibn Malik, Ka'b ibn Zuhair, or another, so the Ka'b. There was Muhammad al-Ansari or something like that. And there's Abu Dhar al-Ghafari. Now, and you have a lot of fallen Ottoman soldiers there as well, just on the city walls. But it's kind of shady sometimes with the companions because you might go to Damascus and then Amman and then Cairo and see the same grave for the same companion. So where is he really? I don't know. So not getting into history, I just go and I just figure, hey, I'm visiting someone who maybe this is a historical figure who I've read about before or who lived through a war or a treaty or a state or a religious experience, something of which I'm familiar. So that's how I kind of see it. And for me, it was just very nice because it's like these men traveled from afar for something they believed in. And you think of this whole idea of a journey, right? To leave your family. And for them it was war, and I think modern warfare is different, and so uh, you know going to war nowadays is not analogous to going to war 1400 years ago, but this whole idea of believing in something and going to different countries and just you know learning or gaining knowledge or doing something, it's a very beautiful concept, and I hope that I'm kind of following in their shoes by coming here to learn Turkish myself. So it was a really nice day. I totally recommend it to anyone if you're going to go, Ayub. But the local Turks don't know where the other companions are. You kind of have to walk. There's this thing called a Halij, which comes from Arabic Khalij. So it's a little bay or gulf area. And you just have to kind of walk across the coast when you get to that place. That place is very famous. And you'll just have to keep your eyes peeled for signs, and then you'll see the signs. And interesting stuff happened there. I saw some horses that were so skinny, not treated well. They looked diseased. I pet them, and their owner was there. So I apparently pet them incorrectly, and they kind of got scared. But I have all the pictures over there, and I'm gonna upload the military thing. And I want you to just look at them and imagine that you're there, hundreds of years ago. And I don't know. I love history. So yeah, I have a lot of other posts. I went to Kurban Bayramı. I went to Samsun and Trabzon in the mountains, and I chilled there. It was amazing. It was one of the best celebrations of my life. So I'll talk about that next. Give me a few days to get caught up, but now I'm more free, so I have time to do that. All right, take care. Assalamu alaikum.